All right, we're gonna try this thyroid video one more time. As you can tell, I am being a stellar parent here while my dad's in the chamber. You guys, let's talk about thyroids. Thyroids are kind of difficult because they are very, very finicky and are one of the first things that can go when you are experiencing stress or malnutrition or something like that. So there are 3 things that we are going to be talking about today that I always talk about with everything that should be looked at when it comes to every health issue. Stress, nutrition, environment, not necessarily in that order. So let's first talk about what we're looking for with thyroid labs, what is happening with thyroid and thyroid hormones, and kind of go from there. Most doctors check TSH, which is thyroid stimulating hormone. That is a hormone that your brain produces. It tells your thyroid. Basically, your brain is like a thermometer. It checks the temperature of your hormones and then says, okay, let's pump out more hormone or less hormone. And then it goes and it sends off chemicals to those organs that create those hormones. So obviously, TSH is not your thyroid hormone, but it's a hormone that stimulates your thyroid. So most doctors will only check TSH. But here's the problem. When your thyroid produces hormones, it will produce T4. Now, T4 has to be converted to T3, and that's where I typically see a lot of malfunction, is that conversion. So your thyroid could be pumping out tons of T4, or a normal amount of T4, but then why do you feel so sluggish? Why do you feel so sick? It's because that T4 is not converting to T3. And that T3 essentially is what turns your cells on, basically, and gives them energy or tells them to produce energy and rev up your metabolism, rev up your heart rate, all that jazz. So where does this conversion happen and what hinders it? Let's talk about what hinders that conversion from T4 to T3. Inflammation is the number one culprit. If you have inflammation in your body, you have conversion issues. Now, if you, now where are we getting inflammation? Everywhere, basically. Probably your food. Food is the number one culprit. I always say this, you have 3 opportunities a day to either build your body up or break it down. Most of us are breaking our bodies down. When we break our bodies down, we are creating inflammation. When we eat lots of sugar, we're creating inflammation. When we eat lots of processed foods, we are creating inflammation. When we eat tons of bread, we are creating inflammation. And the reason why I always think about bread is, I think they did a study where 88% of Hashimoto's patients did really well with cutting out bread. Even just cutting out that one thing, like they started improving. So bread is really bad for multiple reasons. One, it's drenched in glyphosate, so that's an environmental factor. That is extremely inflammatory. It's hard for your liver to detoxify, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit too. But with bread as well, they use bromine instead of iodine now, and bromine will actually inhibit iodine receptors on your thyroid, which helps to produce hormones. So now we have like fake iodine in our body that's blocking us, and that's not fun ever. So what do we do? What do we do from here? We'll talk about that in a little bit because we're not done talking about conversion and conversion issues. So why else do we not have conversion of T4 to T3? Well, some of the biggest areas where you get that conversion are your liver and your gut. And I'm willing to bet 9 out of 10 of us have gut issues because of the diets that we're on, because of our extensive use of antibiotics. How many of us have been on several rounds of antibiotics in our entire lives? Most of us. Most of us by the age of 5 have been on, like, I don't know, 5 or 8 rounds of antibiotics, because every time you got an ear infection, they put you on antibiotics. Which is so counterintuitive because 80% of ear infections are viral. Why are we giving antibiotics to things that are viral, right? Anyways, another tangent for another day. So we have gut dysbiosis. So we have gut inflammation. So we're not having conversion. Plus we also have overloaded livers because of all these environmental toxins that we are dealing with daily. So we're just not, we're not converting, period. So that's why we feel so crummy. And so that's, okay, we'll we kind of touched on nutrition. Let's keep talking about nutrition. Most people that have Hashimoto's or any kind of thyroid disorders, you need to go on some kind of anti-inflammatory diet. Take out all the inflammatory foods like soy, wheat, dairy, sugar. Oh my gosh, guys, cut out the sugar. It's so hard to do that. Now, that doesn't mean switch to Diet Coke. I am so sorry. Inflammatory foods are fake sweeteners too, okay? They're actually neurotoxins, which we're gonna talk about another time. Sorry, your diet soda is not helping you. In fact, I would rather you had the sugar over the diet, and we'll talk about that another time. But get rid of that sugar, guys. Get rid of those chemicals. Your liver doesn't know what to do with them. Your body doesn't know what to do with them. It's just creating tons of fires in your body and exacerbating any kind of thyroid issues. Alrighty, next is stress. Let's talk about stress for a little bit. You guys, we are a society that stresses nonstop. And that creates a ton of inflammation in the body and overstresses all of our hormone systems. So our thyroids burn out, our adrenals burn out, everything burns out basically. So we need to manage our stress, and that's really hard because a lot of women who experience like Hashimoto type symptoms, that's super hard because you just grew a baby, which was stressful on your body. I don't know if you could hear that phone in the background. And then you're not sleeping, and then you're stressed about keeping this child alive and well fed and happy. So you're not sleeping, you're not eating properly, you're not taking care of yourself. Your stress is through the roof. So what happens? All of our hormones start to stress and they start to become compromised, and we get inflammation from the stress. And then we exacerbate any kind of pre-existing thyroid issues there in the first place. So stress is really big. We can talk about stress another time. But a third thing is environmental factors, chemicals such as hair chemicals, lotion chemicals, makeup chemicals, chemicals in your food. Your liver has to process all of these things. And remember how conversion of T4 to T3 happens a lot in the liver. So if we're overstressing our liver with too much sugar and with all these chemicals, how is it supposed to do its job it was originally designed to do, which is convert hormones and other things as well? So, so start cutting out chemicals in your life. Also, heavy metals is another one as well and can also affect and exacerbate any kind of autoimmune issues. So you might want to consult with someone about maybe doing some gentle chelation therapy to help your body heal. But I would absolutely first cover your bases before you start going into heavy metal toxicity, because that can be kind of pricey and invasive. That could mean like replacing some silver fillings that you have in your mouth, for instance. That would cost thousands of dollars. So cover your nutrition bases first, all of them. Cover your stress bases, all of them. And make sure you're consulting with a doctor and they are doing regular blood work. They're doing a full thyroid panel versus a partial thyroid panel so that you can see how your body is converting all these hormones. And I think that's it. I think I covered everything. Oh, nutrition. Okay, things to make sure you are absolutely getting with thyroid issues. Zinc and selenium help with thyroid hormone conversion. So make sure you're getting lots of zinc, lots of selenium, vitamin C just to kind of support your adrenals, because if you have thyroid issues, you probably have adrenal issues too. So take vitamin C, and Genema can actually help with blood sugar regulation. So that might be something you want to look into as well. Make sure you are not malnourished. Malnourishment will hinder your body's ability to convert. So lots of fruits, lots of veggies, lots of good proteins, lots of good fats, and then iodine. Iodine's kind of tricky because when you start increasing your iodine intake, you might have a bromine detox flush, which can mimic hyperthyroid symptoms, and it can be a little uncomfortable. So you want to titrate up slowly with iodine when you are taking iodine. Iodine is extremely crucial for hormone production in your body, and so that's why it's really important that we cut out that bread so that we're not ingesting that bromine and that we are taking iodine to make up for it. But just watch out again for that bromine flush, which is a detox reaction, which can make you kind of feel a little bit crummy, okay? And that's it. That's all our bases. That is Thyroid 101. I know I talk about thyroid a lot. It's really important. We really need to protect our thyroids. So, so make sure you're taking all those steps, and also that you are cutting out foods that are potentially inflammatory for you. This one is really tricky because foods that are inflammatory for your body might not be inflammatory for the next person's body. So some people might need to do like an autoimmune paleo. Some people might need to do just a modified paleo diet. Some people might need to cut out eggs and nuts. Other people might be fine on eggs and fine on dairy. When I was healing up my Graves' disease, I drank milk the entire time and I was totally fine. And I still healed up my Graves' disease in 6 months. Another thing to keep in mind is your time and your rate on how fast you will heal. If you've been dealing with thyroid issues for months and months and months, or years even, it's going to take a lot longer to heal that up because we don't know the extent of the damage to your thyroid, especially if it's an autoimmune issue. So you want to be patient with yourself and just work closely with someone who knows what they're doing. Work closely with your doctor and heal that sucker up as much as possible, all right? As well as instilling all of those steps that I spoke to you guys about before. Good luck, you guys, and I will talk with you later. Hopefully that was a good crash course on Thyroid 101 for you. Take care.